welcome to yet another solo edition of Beyond the Present podcast. My name is Daniel Mulligan, and today we're going to talk about the issue of how to live without any inner limits. You see, if you've been following me on social media, you know that my personal brand has one slogan: no inner limits or outer borders. And today we're going to talk about the first part, which is the no inner limits. And I believe that that part is perhaps the most important part, because without it, the second part, no outer borders, will simply not be possible, because that second part is the results of living with no inner limits. And before I talk about how to actually live with no inner limits, I want to actually tell you that this entire philosophy can be summed up basically in the Navy SEAL motto of no sky too high, no sea too rough, no muff too tough. And this basically slogan has inspired me a lot throughout my life, throughout my career in business. And before I elaborate on that, I want to actually tell you a story about my childhood. I remember I was in school basically and with my friend, and at that moment I saw that my friend just saw this girl, this cute little girl, passed by. Just imagine, like a little boy sees this little girl, and like I see this guy's eyes literally are set on fire, and he has this passion for this girl, but he doesn't do anything about it. And then I ask him, so dude, why don't you just go and talk to her? And he says, but what if she rejects me? Then I can never feel the same about her. And then I told him, well, dude, if you don't go talk to her, somebody else might do that, and then you'll be very disappointed. And at that time, this guy started like, oh, whoa, what am I going to do right now? And at that moment, I told him that if you don't do it right now, even if somehow, you feel like you might be rejected by this girl, but if you don't do it right now, then you will have the regret that you simply will never, ever be with that girl. And then I asked him, do you really want to reject yourself? And you don't want to let others reject you? At that moment, like his entire face was literally ablaze. Like, what am I doing here? And I repeated my question. Do you want to reject yourself before letting others reject you? So at that time, this little question really inspired my friend. And eventually he did go out and talk to that girl. But right now, I want to ask you, the listener, this question right now. Do you think that in your life right now, you've been perhaps in the past few days, weeks, months, years of your life, you've perhaps been rejecting yourself of all the things you wanted to have? Perhaps you wanted to quit your damn job that you really hate to start a new business, but then you said, well, what if it doesn't work? So you just rejected yourself from ever trying or attempting to do something. Or you wanted to perhaps, go try something else. Perhaps you wanted to, apply for a new type of visa or permit. And then you said, well, what if I do that and then get rejected? So in that case, you just rejected yourself. In many areas of life, that's what we do to ourselves, is that we want something, and before we even try to think of a solution or how we can get it, we first come up with all the problems and obstacles that can come in the way and that prevent us from achieving what we want. And at that time, we are literally rejecting ourselves before letting others reject you. And today, my first message to you right now is this. If you want to live with no inner limits in life, here's the first rule. Never, ever reject yourself. Let others reject you, but you never reject yourself. Because if others reject you and you don't give up and you persist, you will eventually succeed and get the results. But if you reject yourself, your chances of success are 0 to none. You do not have any chance to ever succeed at life, and you will live an average life wondering why everybody else has it, but I don't. Because you are rejecting yourself. A lot of the things you don't have right now are not there in your life because you tried again and again to get them. Most of the things you want but you don't have, you haven't even tried. Right now, take a look at your life, your career, your business, your relationships, let's say your lifestyle, what you do with yourself. Think of all the things you want to have but you don't have. And ask yourself, how many times was I rejected in the pursuit of these things, whether it was to get the loan from the bank that I wanted, whether it was to get a permit to run my business, or to operate in a foreign country, whether it was to, I don't know, get the kind of person you really like to get on a date, whether it was to perhaps, I don't know, take part in some sort of competition to win a prize or an award. If you look at yourself, you realize the chances are you have not failed to achieve those things because you tried and you failed and you tried and you failed and eventually you realize it's not possible. In the absolute majority of the cases, you haven't achieved them because you haven't even tried. Let me tell you another anecdote, which is about this Jewish gentleman who goes to the synagogue and starts praying to the Lord. Oh, Lord, please, I have been a great servant of yours for so many years. I have come to this synagogue my entire life, and I have been extremely humble servant of you, the Lord. I really want to win this lottery. I really want to win this lottery. Why don't you let me win the lottery? So he goes back and forth to the synagogue, praying and asking the Lord why he is not winning the lottery. And he goes there day after day. The Lord, why am I not winning the lottery? Why don't you allow me to become a lottery winner? And eventually the Lord gets tired and says, my fellow human, would you please at least buy a goddamn ticket? You see, that's what happens to all of us right now. In that we want a lot of things in life. We are complaining about the things we don't have, not knowing that it is us who is causing that problem. It is us who is not going out there and trying to get rejected, trying to collect failures, trying to collect losses, and instead are worried why we can't get what we want. The answer is very simple. You're not trying, dude. You're not trying, gal. You're simply sitting there and telling yourself all the possible problems and coming up with great justifications and rationalization as why you can't have it. And of course, you'll be right. You want to start something and then you say, well, this problem happens and then this problem happens and then this problem happens, so why even try, right? And unfortunately, this story happens all across the globe. In every society that I have traveled to or worked in, I've realized people are like this. Like they somehow are limiting themselves. They are rejecting themselves of all the ideas. Most entrepreneurs who do not have the loan they want to start their business don't have that loan, not because they went to bank after bank asking for the money, but simply because they never even tried once. Because they said, well, I'm a young kid. I'm only 20-something. I can't really go and get a very, substantial type of credit from a bank. So they said no to themselves. They rejected themselves, and now they don't have the money to start their business. And of course, this applies to every other area of life. And right now, in this short episode today, I just want to ask you one thing. Do you really want to achieve your dreams? Do you really want to have the things you want in life? If you really want it, then you got to be ready to simply take action and not reject yourself before you do so. That story, the gentleman who wanted to, win the lottery without having the lottery ticket. Your attempt to trying something is that lottery ticket. And just like all lottery tickets, there is no guarantee that you will succeed and you will get it. Because life, let's be honest, probability is a part of life. Logistics is a part of life. Things change and you might try and you might get unlucky at the worst time. That is so true. But ultimately, in the end, life is about trying your very best to get the results. And unfortunately, a lot of us, we're not like that. We are spending a lot of our time trying to come up with all the reasons why it's not possible. And in a sense, we live our entire lives with a sense of, oh, I'm not doing what I'm really meant to do. I'm not demonstrating what I'm truly capable of. You feel that sense as if you have a lot of potential and talent within you, but you're not using it. So why is that? The answer is very simple. You are living with an inner limit. And if you know me, I would like you to start living with no inner limits. And how can you do that? The first step is very simple. From this moment onward, from this day forward, simply never allow yourself the excuse of rejecting yourself. Just stop rejecting yourself. Let others tell no to you. Let them say, no, you can't have the loan. No, you can't have the project. No, you can't have the business. No, you can't have my number. No, you can't have this, this amazing, let's say, experience. No, you can't come to this country to work for us. No, let them say no to you. Because I promise you, if you make it a habit of never rejecting yourself and letting others reject you, well, two things happen. Number one, you become desensitized towards other people's rejections. You see, if you have never been rejected before in any part of your life, the first few rejections are probably going to hurt a little bit, right? It's normal. It's like, going to the gym and wanting to, start fighting, let's say, right away without any training. Of course, the first punch is going to, hit a lot, right? And you're going to get, hurt, perhaps damaged or injured. So the point is, just like, starting a fight, you want to know how you can actually start somehow taking action towards what you want and being able to tolerate those rejections and failures in the process. But the problem is, you can never reach that level if you're not rejected before. And for this very reason, the greatest majority of us, we spend our entire lives wanting things, but never ever attempting to actually achieve them and to realize them. And the answer is very simple. You simply are rejecting yourself. Most of the things you want right now are within your reach. Most of those, boundaries that you see around you, well, I can't do this because I'm too young, or because I'm too old, or because I'm too black, or because I'm too white, or because I'm Jewish, or because, because I don't have the right education. All of these things are inside of your head, which is why in one of my posts, when I said this, no sky too high, no sea too rough, and no muff too tough, I then follow that up by saying difficulty exists only in your mind. And with it, all the other limitations that you think are out there. Trust me, no one is stopping you. If you're good, no one is stopping you. If you're trying to have a great business, if you're trying to get your, PhD, if you're trying to perhaps, find love of your life, if you're trying to create something nice and do something good with your life, nobody's stopping you but yourself. But the moment you stop rejecting yourself, well, I'm too cool for school. Or in this case, I'm really too cool for that school to apply for. Why should I even apply for Harvard when I do not have the credentials? Well, have you ever been rejected by Harvard? How do you know that if right now you applied for Harvard, you would not get accepted? Well, how do I know if these guys are even giving me the money? Have you been rejected by a bank that you ever applied for a loan? And did you see them you literally saw their faces saying, sorry, you can't have it? Or you just imagined this in your head and didn't even try it? You see, opportunities are around you all the time, but they are not going to be realized unless you have the guts to go forward, to man up or woman up. I respect all women too, and just go ahead and be ready to be rejected by the outside world and not let the inside world reject you. This is the primary message of this short talk today. And my goal today by the end of this talk is to help you to stop rejecting yourself in all things. Understand that your life matters. Whoever you are right now, you're listening to me, there's a reason why you're listening. Not everybody listens to my podcast. So if you're listening, then you are someone special. Then you have certain things that you want in life that you don't have. And you probably know that I am the kind of person who likes to help you achieve things in your life, which is why you're listening and you're tuning in right now. And the answer that you are, seeking right now is found inside of yourself. I can give you the motivation. I can show you the path, but it's you and only you who can actually start taking action and start collecting rejections, no's, get the hell out of here, no money for you, no project for you, no nothing for you. You got to start collecting these rejections, dude. Whatever success that I've ever accumulated, or anyone that I know who's been 10 times as successful as I am, who has ever accomplished anything of significance, they all were ready to be rejected. They all were ready to fail. They were all ready to be told no, and they never, ever rejected themselves. And the reason that today they got what they got is because they never allowed themselves to somehow be that obstacle, to create that inner limit, and to prevent themselves from achieving what they wanted. Listen to me. Most of your problems right now are not because of your government. They're not because of your parents. They're not because of your lousy friends or the lousy economy or unemployment or other things. These are all out there. These are not the real barriers or the obstacles. The inner limits that you have set upon yourself are the real problems. The problems are found inside, not outside. The majority of all the limits that are insurmountable are inside of you. And all the other outer, basically obstacles and difficulties and challenges and limits are surmountable. Let me repeat that. All of those limits that are insurmountable, the obstacles that cannot be overcome, are inside of you. Because the moment you tell yourself, I can't, you have now created that reality that tells you, I really can't do it. I just can't do it. And once that belief is in action, you will simply not even see the opportunities around you to realize them, because you're no longer programming that goal into your subconscious mind. In a sense, it becomes a reality. Henry Ford said, if you believe you can do a thing, or if you believe you can't, in either case, you're right. And this is exactly what is happening right now. A lot of us, we don't know that the moment we tell ourselves, I can't, you are conditioning and programming your mind for not being able to do that. And I'm sorry, there is nothing in the world that can overcome that obstacle. That limit is truly insurmountable. However, if you don't have any inner limits, all the other obstacles around you, the difficulty in, finding the right investor, the difficulty in finding the right people, the problems, the obstacles, the chances, getting unlucky, these are all outside problems. These are all outside limits. And all outside limits can be surmounted and can be overcome. This is exactly the whole point of today. Because if you live a life with no inner limits, there are no outer limits that you cannot surmount, overcome, or eventually get around. Because that inner limit is what truly stops you. That's the block. That's the thing that will prevent you from moving forward. But once from the inside, you are somehow ready for action, and there's no braking, there's only just the gas, you're ready to go, you will find the way. Yeah, you might hit the wall a couple of times, but eventually you will find the way. But that is simply not possible if you are not somehow committed to stop rejecting yourself from today. So I'm not going to take a lot of your time because I want this episode to actually be as short as possible, because I believe that that's going to help you to get back to work and get back to your life. I'm not a huge fan of sitting for long hours and listen to podcasts, because I'm a fan of action, and I don't want my listeners to listen to me for hours. I don't think that you should do that. Your time is precious. So what you got to do from today right now is internalize this lesson. Please, whatever you want, you can have it if you but not reject yourself from the attempts. So start what I call collecting no's. It's a sales metaphor. Like in sales, we say every no we hear from a client or a prospect is getting us closer to a yes. So we literally celebrate each no happily and we collect the numbers. Like, for example, like you see a lot of salespeople like they're together, like, dude, today I got rejected by 45 clients, and the 46th one made an order for $1 million. It's like, yeah, man, me too. Like, this is like the same, like a sales mindset, right? So please start collecting no's, start collecting rejections. But whatever you do, please don't reject yourself. Live with no inner limits and try to shoot for the stars. That's all the time we have for. I hope you enjoyed this short talk as part of the solo edition of Beyond the Present podcast, and hopefully tune in the future for our future programs, and we will share you with a lot more content and basically information on how to take your life from where it is today to where you want, so that hopefully someday you will also live with no inner limits or outer borders. My name is Daniel Mulligan, and this is Beyond the Present podcast.